from where you at. I came here for vengeance, watch your back. No need to defend, I'm on attack. Sorry they can't reply, but I guarantee they had a blast. Pop, 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 I be on the next only, yeah, I am fresh to death.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Long Haul Mentality. I am your host, as always, Nick Bagley, and this week I have another Nick on. It's double the Nicks today. We got Nick Langer on. How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Did I say your last name right?
Langer, yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool.
I tell people, I'm like, hey, just think coat hanger, and then it's really easy.
It's a running joke now because I have to ask guests all the time, like, did I say your last name right? I need to remember to like ask that before I start recording because at this point it's just a problem.
Well, it's all right.
I barely have a handle on the English language, so I can't be getting these crazy last names, getting them right all the time.
I mean, yeah, and the more you interview people that are like international people, it's like, I can't. I have no idea.
Yeah, man. How are things going, man? You doing good?
Good, man. Good. I very, very blessed, and coming to the end of the year, it's been a crazy year for me, but
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah,
And,
just a little.
And you're up at your gym right now. Is this your office in your gym?
Yep. So this is my office in one of my facilities. We've got 3 facilities here in Omaha, Nebraska area.
Nice.
So, and then I'm a partner on 2 other gyms, one in Kansas City and one in Fort Wayne, Indiana, too. So,
okay. Yeah. What's the name of your gym out there in Omaha?
So the one in Omaha, they're Iron Heaven. So all 3 of them are Iron Heaven gyms is the name of those. So, and the one that I'm currently at is our biggest facility. So it's a 33,000 square foot facility.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So this one we've had, this is the one we originally started with back in 2018.
Okay.
And then have been kind of progressively growing and going from there. So, yeah.
And are you the full owner? Like you started the gym, or is it you and somebody else?
Yep. So it's me and my business partner.
Okay.
So Tim Rexius is my business partner on this one. And then obviously our wives too, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. They're always involved there to tell you when you're being an idiot,
100%.
Well, that's cool, man. How long? When did the first one open?
So we opened the first one in actually 17, so 2017.
Okay.
And then opened the second one in 2018, and then opened our third one in 22.
Nice, very cool, man. That's awesome. I actually Dylan Armbrust was at Destination today, and we were chatting for a little bit, and then he was talking about his obviously Armbrust gym in Colorado, and then mentioned some other things, and we got to talk. I was like, dude, I've always wanted to own a gym. Like that's when I first told my parents I didn't want to go in the Marines anymore. That was what I told them I wanted to do, is I wanted to open a gym, but still a little ways off before I do that, unless I'm blessed with someone who just wants to give me a lot of money to open one.
Yep. That's the number one thing I always tell people. I'm like, listen, like I got a lot of young kids that are like, I want to open a gym. I'm like, no, you don't. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, let me ask you if you've got $200,000 to $300,000 in liquid assets to actually be able to throw at something and then not expect a return for 3 to 5 years. Let me know if that's something you want to do. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds awful from that point of view, and like I've heard a number of guys who are in a really good financial position be like, yeah, that's a terrible investment, this, that, and the other, and like I'm not exactly known for my financial investment. You know what I mean? Like if somebody had told me that I was going to make a living in a very niche thing like bodybuilding, like when I was 18, like they were probably right too. Like I probably wouldn't have made that much money in a normal circumstance, but it's not about like, I just want to have something to call my own and to build. And like, there's something really cool to me about bringing in new pieces and fitting them together and being able to like allow people just to create whatever it is that they want to do in the gym, that's the fun part, So, and I like seeing people collect like rare pieces and old school stuff and shit. I mean, I was talking with Dylan Armbrust about the Mega Mass stuff in there today. Do you guys have any of that stuff yet?
Yep. We got the, both the linear T-bar row and then also the linear row. So
have you seen the one that he has that's chest supported that diverges? It goes out.
Yes.
So we got that, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so. And like one of my clients was on it and he was doing his rows and he sent me a video of it. He's like, what do you think of this for lats? I was like, nah, man, that's not a lat movement. Like no, you can't do that. Like you can do this for upper back if you want, but like, we're not going to put that in for lats. And then fucking Dylan Armbrust hops on it today, sets himself up on a single arm position on it. And I was like, that looks pretty good. So I tried it later. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. So I had to text
Yeah.
that client and be like, yo, I'm an asshole. Like, you can do that movement if you want. You should check that one out if you get an opportunity, man.
Yeah, the biggest thing with that one, the reason why I didn't do that one and why we did the typical, just the linear, the non-diverging, is because of the fact that in order to actually make it more of a lat targeted, you're going to have to position your body in that way to do so.
Yeah.
But I have, we've got a ton of pieces here that we've kind of hand collected over the years. So I've got a lot of pieces that are more aimed towards like lat specific development anyways. And like we have like the old school hammer strength DY row, and we've got like a lot of those like, old school pieces too. So, so for me, it was more so, okay, I wanted something that could kind of mimic a bent over barbell row because I have a lot of clients that struggle with that. Specifically keeping those rectors actually activated and not letting your rectors fatigue while you're doing a bent over row.
Right.
And so that was the bonus of that 45-degree linear row is you can swap that pad. So it's a back support. And now you can row without having to worry about like using your lumbar spine to stabilize the entire time. So
it's definitely cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of his stuff has a big footprint too, so it kind of depends on how much equipment you have and how much space you still have in your facility. But at 3,300 square feet, you can get real creative.
Yeah. This location, we even have like we have an SUV that's actually sitting on jacks, so you can actually deadlift it. So,
no way.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you guys have a lot of strongmen out that way?
A lot of strongman. We actually just partnered with a local organization that is going to run a strongman competition out of this location this year. So
that's cool, man. Yeah. It's never something that I would get into, but it's like I've never been a powerlifter. I've never been a strongman or anything like that. But like it's always that shit's so much more fun to watch than bodybuilding. Like watching somebody pick up something crazy heavy and like everybody's screaming in the room, like hyped up and stuff. Like powerlifting meets and strongman, like that shit is exciting.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's like, as a bodybuilder, you look at it and you're like, wow, I am weak as shit. And you look at how strong they are. So like, I thought I was strong. And then I see that shit. And I'm like, okay, I'm not strong. Okay.
Yeah. No, I've never thought I was strong in my entire life. So no, I don't know what that feels like, man, but I got strong enough, but I was never known for my strength. But dude, so, hang on. Okay. All right. So I've got a client that's competing this weekend and he just sent me a message. So I had to make sure he was good, but it's just a video. I'll look at it later. But, you just turned pro, dude. Congratulations. That's kind of what I wanted to mainly talk to you about today. So congrats, dude.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's been a long journey to get there for sure. So,
and you did Masters USA's, correct? Masters.
Yep. Masters USA's 35 plus.
Awesome.
So it was heavyweight 35 plus. Won the overall and won the pro card. So
yeah, dude,
it was cool,
you
man.
looked great, dude. Well, I thought you looked great at the amateur Olympia. Like you looked really good there too.
Yeah, I was super happy with it. I think the biggest thing is one lesson that we learned in that time frame was, and one of the feedbacks that we had was come in a little bit drier, and that's what we did for USA's or for that for Masters USA's.
Well, you were heavies, weren't you?
Yep, heavies. Was on stage about 214, so I wasn't even the top of the heavies. So
I mean, the guy that won the heavies was a mutant,
dude. Silly
fucking mutant. Like I had Zach Leeson in the supers, and I thought that guy was a super, and I was like, "Fuck!" and then somebody told me he was a heavyweight, and I was like, "What the fuck, man?" Like he was massive to be under 225, just ridiculous.
Yeah, and the guy that placed ahead of me in the 35 plus at amateur, because I did both 35 plus and open. The guy that placed above me on that. Dude, when we were standing backstage, the expediters were like, who the hell let Keon out of his room? And I'm like, cool. All right.
Was it? Yeah. Was it it was the black guy, right?
Yes. Yep.
Crazy upper body. The legs need to come up a little bit, and his posing is a little funny, but his physique is fucking wild for sure. Yeah. Actually saw him at New Tech the day after the show and just went up to him and was like, bro, you look nuts.
Yes. Yeah. If you like, and I told him, I'm like, dude, if you would have actually nailed your posing, you would have been way better.
Yeah. So. Yeah. There's a lot of people that way. It's not about what you have, it's about what you present. But going to take a quick break from the podcast to bring a few things to your attention. First off, as I was going through the YouTube analytics, I noticed that almost 70% of my watchers are not subscribed.
So if you're watching this right now, please do me a favor and click that subscribe button. Every single time I get a new subscriber, comments, likes, and shares, this helps spread the podcast more, and I really, really appreciate you guys. This podcast has no paid sponsorships, so the best way for you to support my channel is to support my sponsors. So Labrada Pro Series is my supplement sponsor. We have a full line of products with some new ones coming. The pre-workout is on the way right now, and the new Labrada Nutrition RTD pre-workout is about to hit the market as well. On top of Labrada Pro Series, I also have Gasp and Better Bodies, and then I also have Authentic Aminos. Please go support these companies. Use my code Bagley10 for Labrada Pro Series, Bagley15 for Gasp and Better Bodies, and Bagley for Authentic Aminos. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the podcast.
So the going pro part isn't necessarily like that's awesome. I'm super excited for you and that kind of thing, and it's a huge accomplishment and something you've been working for a long time. But the pro card itself is not really why I wanted to talk with you. Why I wanted to talk with you is what you posted about, and like just for people who don't know you, tell me how long you've been trying to go after this thing, man.
Yeah. So my first competition was back in 2010. I was actually a middleweight back in 2010, did my first competition then. I was lucky in the aspect of, as I've gone through this journey, I've worked with some pretty high level people. So I've worked with I worked with Matt Porter when he was alive, worked with him for about 3 years, and actually did my first national level show with him, junior nationals back in 2014, back when it was in Chicago. And then now it's moved obviously to Chattanooga since then. But yeah, man. So I started back in 2010. I did have a little bit of a time frame where I was still bodybuilding, but I was actually playing collegiate sports. So I went back and played football for about 2 years. But even during that time frame, I was still focusing on bodybuilding and working on that. And then really committed back to it probably in that like 2014 range. And so realistically, back in 2010, when I did my first show, the idea of becoming an IFBB pro was actually in my head. I was like, okay, this is something I want to do. And when I ended up having my second brain bleed playing football, that kind of made me, yeah.
What a sentence! What
right?
a sentence! My second brain bleed.
Second
One
brain
wasn't enough for you, Nick.
yeah. That was I had promised myself, hey, listen, I'm not going to stop this. I'm not going to stop playing until I'm literally told I can't play anymore. I think that's every athlete's mentality, right? Unless somebody tells you like, hey, you're going to die unless you stop this, you're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so when I got told that, I was like, okay, well, what's a non-contact sport that I can compete in, that I enjoy, that I like? And bodybuilding was the answer. And so, then I went on this journey. So basically 2010, about a 15-year journey in all summation, and realistically about 11-year committed journey of bodybuilding to finally secure that pro status in this aspect. So it's been a wild ride, man.
So your first national show was 11 years ago?
First national show, was 2014 Junior Nationals.
Okay. And during that 11-year stretch of like going after these national shows, how close were you to your pro card?
Yeah, so I actually won Junior Nationals in the overall back in 2022, 21, whatever it was. So I've been the last probably 5 years, I've been hovering right in that like top 5 placings at national levels. Really kind of like being right there. And it's funny because everybody gives me shit about it because I'm like, okay, well, I think after this year I'll be done. And then I would place like within the top 5 and I'm like, I can't stop. Like I'm right there. Even this year, it was one of those aspects of like, I did 4 shows this year and did, won an overall, then went to the amateur O, placed 2nd and 5th, and then went and did another overall, and then went to Masters USA's. And honestly, it was 2 weeks out from Masters USA's that I was talking with the guy who coaches me, Derek Dogner, and him and I were going back and forth. And I was like, hey, I'm already in shape. What are your thoughts about me just jumping into Masters USA's in 10 days? And he's like, okay. And so that literally
awesome.
That happened. And I think, for me, it's more so an aspect of like the one lesson that I learned over that time frame was, I think it's actually a blessing that I didn't get it right away. because it allowed me to understand the process and fall in love with the process more than the actual result. And that's where I think most athletes, that's where most people miss this. And I think that's honestly one of the disadvantages that genetically
Gifted.
predisposed individuals,
Yep.
have, is, when they get that pro status, now they have no idea what the hell to do with their life, right? And I was blessed in the aspect that, and I had made a post about this too, over that time frame, I was able to build businesses and a family
Yep.
and everything on top of it. And so, it made it so that I would actually get to a point where the process is what I was falling in love with. It wasn't the end result.
Mhm.
And, I have a ton of wins and stuff like that we stacked along the way. But I quickly realized those wins and also the pro card was not going to give me satisfaction of like, right.
Yeah.
And I think most people don't come to that realization until after they do it. And then they're kind of like in this like complete defeated mindset where they're like, okay, well, what the hell do I do now? And so that was, I think it's a blessing in disguise for me, because I'm also a person that likes achieving things. And so when I achieve something, my brain is always going to go, what's next? Right.
Yeah, of course.
And
That's why you're
so,
successful.
right. But it's also one of those things where it's like, I'm pretty sure as a man of faith, it's one of those aspects where I'm like, okay, God just was literally trying to teach me like, hey, you don't need to always achieve. You just need to be in love with what you're doing. Right.
Yeah, it's a great point.
So yeah.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things to touch on before we like keep going further in there. And like the number one thing there is like 15 years of competing, 11 years of being on national stages, and like just it being right there. Like it's just right there. And the the thing about bodybuilding and the modern day landscape is all you see when the national level shows come around is the people who won, right? Because the promoters and the media companies, they're going to take pictures of the people who won or the top few people, and they're going to get the praise. And the thing that you forget is like when you go to these shows, there's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 people in a class sometimes. And that means that 49 out of 50, if that's how many were in your class, didn't achieve that goal, right? And that doesn't mean that you're not great, right? Like it doesn't mean that you don't have the potential. It's just a matter of who showed up on that day and was on, and it was just that person's day. And I think too many people look at social media, see those winners and go, well, why am I not doing that? Or like in my case as a coach, and like I know you coach and stuff too, it's really easy to see all of my friends who are really successful and have big businesses that have been around for a long time, been prepping for a long time, and have higher level competitors and that kind of stuff, and see them winning regularly. And it's like, well, why am I not doing that? But when the reality is that's not how that works. It's like, you just got to keep putting the work in. You'll be there at some point. So there's that first part of like, for anyone who's listening to this, like even if like every single person you run into is like, you're going to go pro this year, you're going to go pro this year, you're going to go pro this year, unless all of those people show up and they're on the judging panel and they want you to win, it doesn't fucking matter what they say. So like, just keep doing the thing, because the thing is like, whether you go and you win, you get your pro status and you become an IFBB pro, the day after the show, the same thing is going to happen. You are going to go through the same exact process, whether you won or whether you lost. You're going to eat the food, you're going to lift the weights, you're going to do the cardio, you're going to do the steps, you're going to check in. Like it is the same process regardless. And if you can't, like Nick was saying, if you can't accept that and enjoy that portion of it, this game will chew you up and spit you out, and you will never accomplish what you wanted, and you'll be the old guy being like, I used to be good. You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest thing that I wanted to touch on out of that.
Yeah. And I think, the other aspect of that is 2 points there. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? Or, one of those aspects of like, there's always going to be somebody bigger, better, more wealthy, whatever it might be than you, right? And so again, it's having that perspective of like, are you living a life that you are proud of, and are you enjoying the process of what you're doing day in and day out, whether that's business, whether that's bodybuilding, whatever it might be. And I think that's where people miss the mark, right? And also the other aspect is like, listen, you become a pro, you just started back over at ground zero.
You're now the worst pro.
Correct.
You're now the worst pro. Like, cool.
So it's like, okay, great. Now if you didn't like the process in the beginning, you're really not going to like the process now, because now your level of execution has to be even higher, because now you're dealing with people that have been doing this and are better than you and have proven they're better than you. Right. And so, having that mentality, I think is one of those aspects that a lot of people miss in this process. So yeah,
I think again, I love social media. Social media is awesome, right? Like, we are literally recording something for social media right now. So, like, for me to say that social media sucks would be the most hypocritical thing ever. I love social media, but social media has done a lot of bad things for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because, oh shit, I just forgot what I was saying there. But, I lost it. Yeah.
Well, I would say, I mean, on your point, social media, when it comes down to like how it affects people, we're constantly stimulated with victories of other people, or images of people that have like, oh, we're succeeding at this, right? And they're seeing a highlight reel. That's not real life.
Yeah.
Right?
And now I remember my point. So that when people just look at a bodybuilder on their phone or on a laptop or whatever, then they're seeing pictures, you can appreciate it and go, yeah, that person's big and they're lean and whatnot. But until you have been in person, you do not understand what you were saying. So, like, anytime I'm talking to somebody and they're like, oh, I'm an amateur and I want to go to nationals and I want to try to compete for my pro card. And they're one of those people that it's like, I see the potential, but that potential is a couple of years out. I need you to go see it. And then from there, let's have a conversation, right? Because, like, people have really unrealistic ideas of what that jump from the regional level to the national level is. And then if you are the national level person who is teetering on the edge of going pro and you're like, I want to go pro and win a pro show and go to the Olympia. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Great goal. Go to a pro show if you have not been to a pro show, because you do not understand how fucking big these guys are.
Yes. It's insane. It is insane. And that was actually, it was funny. So 2014, social media wasn't as big, right? So we didn't have it constantly in our face. That was actually the thing that I noticed when I went to the national level for the first time. When I went to Junior Nats in 2014, and granted, Junior Nationals was a much bigger class, or much bigger show at that point in time, because the way bodybuilding worked is everybody went from, a regional to a junior to a pro, or to a pro qualifier. That's how you did it. You didn't do it any other way.
It should still be that way. Just saying.
Agreed. But I walked in backstage, or I walked into weigh-ins, and I'm standing in line, and I saw this guy in front of me. And I was like, God, that's a big dude. I'm like, hey man. He's like, what's up? I'm like, what class are you in? I was like, you got to be like a light heavyweight or a heavyweight, right? He's like, I'm a middleweight. I'm like, oh, good God.
Shit.
and then to walk backstage and then see the light heavyweights that I'm competing against. Now, granted, I was shredded, but shredded doesn't matter when you've got a 5'2" guy that's 198 pounds and shredded, right? So you walk backstage, you're like, shit. And I think I placed like 14th out of like 32 people or something like that in that. So like, it gave me some hope, but it was also like, you got a long way to go, buddy. Right. And I think that is also the big thing that I try to put across to all of my clients that work with me too, is I'm like, guys, there's a massive, massive difference depending upon where your regional level show is. So like, for instance, I'm in Nebraska. We don't have like super high level competitors in comparison to like a Texas or a Florida or some of these bigger markets. And so when they win an overall at this level, I'm like, you're not ready for national level. I can tell you that right now. And if I have a bodybuilder, I'm like, hey, listen, your best bet is to go to the junior level. At least you'll get higher quality competitors, but you might not get the people that are going to be at the national level yet. So you'll get a good understanding. Right. But I think that is kind of that stepping stone. And also the other point to that is, when I'm talking with individuals and they're asking and talking about pro status, I also look at the category they're trying to do it in, because arguably bodybuilding is the hardest category to get your pro status in. Doesn't matter where you're at in the game. And it's one of those aspects where I'm like, okay, understand, majority of bodybuilders, especially if you're not genetically blessed, you're talking 5 to 10 years of grinding to get to that status. That is just the truth. And unless you've been doing this since you were in, your teens, you're talking in your 30s before you're going to be a pro. So understand what that costs and what you're going to be investing in order to make that happen.
Right.
And having that realistic conversation with people too.
Yeah. And that's the hard part, because sometimes people think they want to hear the answer, but when they hear the answer, it's not what they expected. And I say this to people all the time, not because I'm trying to be a dick, but because I'm trying to like forewarn them, is like, don't ask me a question you don't want the answer to.
Yep.
Right? Because I'm going to give you my honest opinion, and I'm not going to be a dickhead about it. I'm not going to beat you down about it, but I'm going to let you know what needs to be adjusted in order for you to do what it is that you say you want to do. Right? If you're telling me that you just want to get on stage and have a good time, cool. That I'll keep a lot of my opinion to myself. You have a great fucking time. But if you tell me you want to be a pro and I'm looking at your physique and you're 10 weeks out and you've got 2 weeks to go, I'm going to tell you, you're not ready for this. You should push back. Right. And I don't know if it's something that coaches are pushing, but like you go to some of these shows and you wonder, like, do some of these people who are getting on stage have someone who is either that they're talking to at all? Like, did they do this themselves first and foremost? I hope so, because if so, that could tell me a lot. But if they have someone that they're asking that's doing their coaching, and that person didn't tell them you're not ready for this, like, you got to wonder like what's going on there. So like, I think more people need to be, if you want to be a coach and you want to be a bodybuilding coach, you need to be okay with quote unquote creating conflict, because that's what you're doing when you have to tell somebody something they don't want to hear.
100%.
Whether I'm trying to go at you and attack you, that don't mean conflict in that way, but like, you're bringing up something somebody doesn't want to hear. Like, you're going to hurt their feelings. That's conflict. Right. So, yeah, I forgot where my full point was going with that, but yeah, it's one of those things of like, you got to be really realistic of like where you're at, and I have a handful of guys who are like teetering on that edge of like, that pro card is just right there. I've got a kid that's going to compete at Battle of Texas this weekend and the Nationals the week after. And then I've got my classic physique guy, Blake, who's been competing for the last couple of years. And he's going to do Universe this year. And, the thing that both of them have in common is like, you can go pro, you can get your pro card as long as we bring everything together. But like, are you ready for pros? Are you ready to be a pro? That's what matters more than whether you get the pro card or not. Because like you said, or like we said in the earlier, like, yeah, once you turn pro, you're the worst pro possible. Right. So like, I don't want to get a pro card just because, like, I want to get a pro card because I'm able to stand with pros, and that's one of the things that my client Sam competing this weekend said, was like, if I don't win, it means I didn't deserve it. I want it when I deserve it. And that was, the kid's 19. So the fact that he thinks that way is awesome.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. That honestly means that like he's got a runway ahead of him for competing. Right.
Yep.
And yeah, I think that's, a really good point, is just understanding like, where these people are at in their process. And, I'm of the same mindset. I am going to be 100% honest with anybody that asks me my opinion, because I understand I'm also doing you a disservice by being a cheerleader for you and saying, yeah, you're ready, when that's thousands of dollars invested into something that I'm telling you, quote unquote, you're ready for. And then you go up and you bomb. Right. And I've got pretty high standards with my people that I'm like, you can go to a national level. It's always one of those things where it's like, I want to be in a good show that's very competitive. And if you win an overall in that show, then we can look at it. And then if we look at it, okay, now let's see where we compete in maybe a junior level show. And that's a higher quality of what you're going to see. But at the same time, I think there's this delusion of what it, again, like you said, what it looks like to be an IFBB pro. And when these people actually see what pro level quality looks like, they're like, oh, I now understand. Right.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing.
It's really funny that you mentioned that, because I was in Alexandria, Virginia a couple of weeks ago for the Ben Weeders. I had my natural client Stacy doing figure, and there's a gym up there called DMV Iron, great gym.
Yep.
And I go in to start lifting, and like I'm walking back to the bathroom first before I get started, and I hear this guy talking to his buddy, and like I have headphones in, and I can hear him over my headphones. Like, that's how loud he was. So like, just pause my music and just listen to what he's saying. And he's like, yeah, man, I think I've maxed out 212 already, like I'm kind of at the top there. So, I really had to ask myself, like, am I ready to take on Derek and who else did he say? Derek and Martin. He's like, oh yeah, like could I stand with those guys? And like I definitely think I could. And like I could not help but like just kind of like smile as I was walking by, like hearing him say this, because I'm like, you do not know what you're talking about.
No.
The unfortunate thing is the guy's a pro. He is a 212 pro. Like I'd figured out who it was. I'm not gonna say his name, but I'm like, buddy, maxing out 212 means you beat Keon. And I know that didn't happen. And I know that's not going to happen. If you can't beat Keon, you're not beating any of those guys either. Like the delusion that some people have that like, even if it's right in front of them, they still like, yeah, I can measure up. It's like, no, the fuck you couldn't, man.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. It's the interesting thing to me is, so it was an event that we hosted a while back, and we actually had Steve Kuklo out to actually speak at that. Right. And we had a couple local pros that were here, and my business partner and I were talking, and we looked at it, and there's two local pros walk up next to Steve Kuklo. And again, Steve, great bodybuilder, right? Great pro level bodybuilder, placed top 5 in quite a few shows and so on and so forth. Not the like super high elite, like first place winners of all of that stuff. And you see these guys that walk in that are pros
Sizing
as
them
well.
up.
Yeah. And I look at it and I looked over my business partner, I go, that's the difference between Olympian bodybuilder and regular bodybuilder, right? So there is it is so clear when you see it in person, the difference between Olympia level and like this high tier level pro versus your your pros that are kind of like really just getting into the game. And it's pretty insane to see it in person, because you're already talking about genetic elite, right? Like anybody that turns pro, you're already elite in comparison to everybody else. But then that step up to the Olympia level pro is so drastic. It's insane.
Yep.
When you see it in person, you're like, okay, I get it now. Right.
Oh, for sure. Most of when I started bodybuilding, I was in North Carolina, right? And I was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and it's a fairly small community of people in the fitness industry, right? And like a lot of people were into lifting, but like very, very few people in the actual bodybuilding space. So like amongst that crowd, I had gotten to a point where I was like, okay, I'm one of the better guys in the area, that sort of thing. And then, I finally made the move to Texas in 2019, and slowly started being around more pros, and then pros turned into Olympians. And I start just, this is before I'm even like really close friends with a lot of these guys, but just seeing them come to the gym. Like I saw Keon come through. I saw Hunter come through. I've seen Brett and Martin. I've seen a ton of the top Olympians that we see on stage today come through. And you just start to realize like, fuck, like that's what I'm looking at, and like, ultimately I stopped competing in 2023, and like I competed for 12 years, right? So I competed for a very long time, and I personally never won a show, right? But I was always like putting myself in bigger shows and trying to do better. And like until the second half of my career, like I didn't have the best guidance in the world and stuff. But after that show, like I kind of saw the glimmer of like, okay, maybe I could win a show and go to nationals and try to compete and whatnot. And I started to push for it, but I think subconsciously in the back of my head, when things started to go wrong, it's like, man, what am I doing? Like, I'm even if I go pro, I'm going to go pro and then never compete, because I'm not going to be able to compete with these guys. Like I've got a kid that I got to take care of. I've got a business I got to grow. Like this doesn't make sense anymore. So I think subconsciously for a while, it started to get in my head of like, hey, man, that's not you. You're like, you have to force just to get yourself to 265, and these guys hang there like it's nothing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's definitely
that was honestly one of the main things that I've been lucky enough to talk or meet or host a lot of pros, and one of them was even before he passed, John Meadows. And
awesome.
Meadows was an interesting one, because when I talked with him, I'm like, he would walk around grainy and dense and just like round, right? And no bullshit, that dude would eat maybe 2 meals a day, maybe. And I'm like, I would wither away to nothing if I did not eat enough calories. And you literally just look rounder and tighter with like 2 meals. It makes no
Yeah.
sense, right? Um, and again, when you actually start to like get around a lot of these guys, you just start to realize how much more efficient their body is at being a bodybuilder. And like that's one lesson that I knew going into this. I was like, listen, I've been blessed with lemons, right? So I need to make sure that I'm doing everything possible to make my lemons actually turn into lemonade, right? And
Yeah,
so,
right.
and that is part of the reason, aside from the fact that like I also, was building other aspects of my life while bodybuilding.
Right.
But I think a lot of that is, again, kind of circling back to our previous conversation. And also, I think part of the reason why I coach the way that I do is because I'm like, listen, I can see somebody right away and go, you are genetically elite. Okay. I know you can get there and I know you can get there fast. Or I can see somebody and go, listen, this is going to be a long road for you. So if you truly want to do this, I'm going to help you and I'm going to facilitate it as fast as I can. But I also want you to understand to become a pro for you is probably looking at a 3 to 5 year time span at minimum to make that happen. Is that something you're willing to commit to? And when I say commit, I'm saying 365 days a year, no breaks, no nothing. You have to be all in because you don't have the genetic potential to screw off, right? Like some of these guys, I mean, hell, you listen to some of the old school stories of like Ronnie or Dex or any of these guys. I mean, those guys, some of those guys literally wouldn't train for 3 to 6 months and then they'd train for 6 months and be show ready and be twice the size, right? So,
Right.
it's just an aspect of like fully understanding your own genetic potential, but then also what that effort's going to look like, right? Like I didn't have a choice to not be consistent and disciplined. The only way I knew I was going to be able to eventually make it happen was I had to stay as consistent and disciplined as possible for the longest duration of time because I knew that my roadway was not going to be there. Genetically, I can't push drugs super hard. I've got issues as far as health wise from blood pressure and stuff like that. So, I don't, again, when we look at a lot of these top tier guys, it's the response that they have to PEDs.
Yep.
It's the load of stress they can take, right? Like there's so many confounding factors that go into play when it comes to being these high genetic elite people that if you aren't there, you're going to have to learn the lessons and you're going to have to do 20 times the work to get the same result that somebody's doing for way less work. Right.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. And like the one thing that I do want to say on the back of that is like for those individuals who are in that position of like, hey, look, if you want to do this, this is going to be a grind. It's going to be a push. It could potentially never happen. I think Nick would also agree here. That is not either one of us saying that you shouldn't pursue this, right? Because like if someone had told me when I was first getting into this of like, you're never going to go pro, man. You shouldn't do this. I wouldn't have anything that I have right now without bodybuilding. I don't think I'd be the man that I am. I don't think I'd be the father that I am. I don't think I'd be the businessman that I am if I had not gone through the process of learning what it takes to be a bodybuilder, regardless of whether I got to a high level or not. I lived that lifestyle for more than a decade. And like whether I had the best guidance or not, I did what I was told and I made progress and I wanted to get better and I tried to learn as much as I possibly could. And through that process, it gave me my career. It gave me lessons that I can take into any aspect of my life now and probably do better than some people who have never done this before because I understand what it takes just to do hard shit. Right. And that's the thing is like, especially this day and age with AI and Amazon and like the craziest shit just happened. There's Walmart has installed drones at their place right up the street, and I've been seeing them fly around. I'm like, where the fuck is? Like, it's huge. It's a massive drone. I've been seeing them everywhere, and so like we have drones that can deliver shit to our house. Like you don't have to leave your house anymore.
Yeah.
I think it is very, very important for people to like, even if you have to like manufacture it yourself, find something difficult to push against because it is the suffering is life. Like we have to suffer. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you can make suffering the worst thing ever, or you can make it the best thing ever. You can make it a tool that makes you a better individual. And so for those individuals who don't have the genetic gifts, but like you absolutely love this, and like you love the process of competing, and you love the training, you love the dieting, you love all that stuff. If that's you, fucking do it. Go for it. Don't let anybody stop you.
100%. 100%. And it's interesting. This is actually the exact conversation my wife and I had. She was like, she had posed the question, but she's like, well, so what happens this year if you don't turn pro? Right. And my honest answer to her was, nothing's going to change. Right. Like the way I eat, the way I train, the way I do things, when I wake up, when I go to bed, that's all going to stay the same, because the life that I've built outside of bodybuilding is because of the discipline and the mentality of doing hard shit every single day that I don't want to do, is the reason why I am where I am, from a business side, from a family side, from a father side, everything. And bodybuilding instilled that in me. And I think a lot of us need to understand that discipline is a skill that's acquired through bodybuilding and many other aspects. But that one skill is perishable if you start to slack on it.
Yeah.
And it's very fast, right? Like creating discipline takes a long time and a lot of consistency. Losing discipline, hell, anybody can show you.
A couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, hell, look at a lot of bodybuilders post show. It's 5 days because they lost their discipline and went ape shit. And now 5 days later, they're 30 pounds heavier, inflamed, and feel like shit. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
The thing that I always tell people is, like, when they go off on these, like if they have a binge or they have a holiday or their birthday and they allow themselves to have something off, the hardest part is shifting back to the diet. Right. And like, it might be the hardest thing to do, but the number one thing you can do is go back to your diet, because you just go back to it and don't continue to feed that bug. The next, so you have that one holiday meal off, right? We just had Thanksgiving. You go and have all your Thanksgiving stuff. And then Friday is like, oh, there's some stuff in the refrigerator. You have a little bit, and then that little bit turns into a lot of bit, and then now Saturday, because there's still a little bit left in there, and trying to break. And then now all the leftovers are gone, but fucking McDonald's is around the corner. Like, that sounds pretty good right now. And it just snowballs on itself very quickly, versus like, cool, I know I'm going to have this off. I'm going to be intentional with my day. I know I'm going to get back to playing tomorrow. This is what it's going to look like, right? Like, that is a different story. And you and I both know a million people who, like, at one point in their life were just the most disciplined person in the world, who are shredded, who maybe never got on stage, or maybe did, whatever. And then now they don't look like themselves anymore. Like, we've seen that a million times. And I'm sure you've had clients that have been that way too, of like, oh, I used to be this, now I'm this. It's like, it's very easy it's a slippery slope. It's a lot harder to push that ball up the hill than it is for it to let it push you back down. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. And again, it's one of those aspects of, like, that is part of the reason why in everything that I do, I'm trying to make sure that I never get complacent. Right. And that's where most people will lose that, is we get a little bit of complacency, and then that complacency feeds into everything else that's going on.
Yep.
And then you become a shadow of the person that you were previously, right? And you're just doing a disservice to everybody around you rather than anything else. And so it's really just more so the aspect of, like, listen, you have a standard. Everybody has a standard that they want to be living by. Execute on that standard, and don't let those standards fall especially because you achieve something. Don't let those standards fall, right? Like, for me, it was one of those aspects of, like, cool, I achieved that pro status. Guess what? The next morning, I was right back in doing my cardio. I was right back in doing what I needed to do to continue to keep my discipline, because that rolls into everything else.
Yep, exactly. And, I had this conversation with somebody actually earlier today of, like, I still do exactly what I was doing when I was competing. I'm just 40 pounds lighter. Like, I eat 4 meals a day instead of 5 now. I don't completely stuff myself in the process of trying to gain as much size as I can. I don't train as aggressively anymore. I don't train like complete all out failure, brutalize myself. I train with a little bit more volume, a little bit like more RIR work, that kind of thing, trying to get a good pump, a good connection, a good squeeze. I do it because I enjoy it. Like I do it because I want to look like this. I don't need to be 260, 270 pounds anymore, but I want to feel good in my own skin. And like, I think you can agree with me. Like when I go more than my usual maybe 2 days of rest, I start to get anxious and there's this energy that gets pent up and I start to get snappy and I start to like respond to things more aggressively and like more things irritate me and whatnot. And it's because I haven't just done that thing. I haven't had that time where I put my headphones in, I put on my screamy music and I just zone everything out and I look like I'm an asshole for an hour in the gym. And then I feel amazing and I'm smiling, I'm happy. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm good to go.
Yeah, no, I've found that like with my morning routine, right? If my morning routine gets screwed up, I am pissed the rest of the day, right? Like I have to keep my morning routine intact because that's what sets me up. And most of the time, like right now, that morning routine includes 20 minutes of stair climbing, getting my heart rate up to like 140 beats per minute. Is that fun? No. But I'm accomplishing something at 4:30 in the morning that most people won't do their entire day, and I'm setting it up doing something that I don't like doing first and foremost, right? And I think that's the key here is understanding, like, when it comes to your habits and or discipline, number one, knocking out the one thing you hate first thing in the day because you're already accomplished right out the gate. And then number two is just keeping that standard no matter what every single day, because that's how you're going to continue to win each and every single one of those days and stack wins on top of that, without kind of like wavering on your own standards.
Yeah, 100%. And, I've said this a million times, and I try to get it across to my athletes as best I can because it's humorous when I say it. So like it helps kind of break any tension that's going on. And I've 2025 has been one of those seasons that I've been blessed with a lot of great opportunities. I did a lot of great things with my season, and I built my business, all these kind of things, and I had a lot of cool opportunities at the end of this year. But a lot of those opportunities I fell short. Right. So like as much as 2025 was a win, 2025 also pissed me the fuck off. Right. Because there's a lot of things that are really, I was this close with like 4 people for pro cards, and like all I needed was just a little push. Right. And we would have been there. But that is bodybuilding, right? So the thing that I tell people all the time in these scenarios when we fall short of what it was that we wanted to accomplish that day is like, look, if I could guarantee places, I'd be a much better coach than I am. You know what I mean? I would be doing much better than what I already am, right?
Yep.
So at the end of the day, did we control what we could control? Did we get you in shape first? Yes. Did we peak you well? Yes or no? Did we pose well? Yes or no? Like if we can go through those things and we can go, yeah, we got you peeled. Yeah, we peaked it well. Maybe it could tweak a little bit here and there because every peak can be tweaked a little bit here and there. And then did we pose well? Yes, we checked all those boxes. Then we did what we needed to do. The rest wasn't. It just wasn't our day. And the faster people can adopt that mindset, the better. Because like we spoke about earlier, like the last show that I went to is the Ben Weeders. There were 700 competitors, and that's across every category. And top 2 overall got pro cards. So there's 600 plus people going home empty-handed that all were trying to do the same thing, whether they were delusional or not. The odds are against you.
Yeah.
The odds are against you.
Yeah, it's constantly stacked against you, right? And that's the other aspect of like I'm the exact same mentality with my people. It's one of those aspects of like, did we control and did you execute on everything I asked you to do? If we controlled every single thing and you showed up and you lost, it's not because we didn't do the right thing, or maybe it was, right? Like, and I'll own up to that if I think that peak wasn't correct, or I think that we didn't push hard enough for conditioning or whatever it might be. But if we've checked all the boxes and you come up short, it's simply because there was somebody better than you that day. That's it.
Yep.
And that was the same mentality that I came to over the 15 years it took me to chase the pro status. I'm like, I'm just not good enough yet. That's okay. I'm okay with that.
And if you were like, if you did check all the boxes, you were in condition, you have great shape, that you were battling for that top spot where you could potentially get that pro card, somebody else beat you, go shake that motherfucker's hand because they deserved it, right? Like don't be the fucking guy who's like, the judge is this, the judge is that, politics this guy that, whatever. Fuck it. Shake his hand. You won. You got the better of me today. Congratulations. And then do what you were already doing before. Keep going forward because that's what we do. That's all we do. Right. And I think that's a very, very, very important thing because as you, once you go pro, it's not going to get any easier. It's not like the next show like the reality of going into the pros is the same scenario is the truth of like one person wins and everybody else goes home a loser. Right. It's just way fucking harder because the people are a lot bigger, whether you're in bodybuilding or classic or men's physique, they're a lot fucking bigger than you. It's just the reality. They've probably been doing it longer as well. So it's definitely a very, very important thing to get across to people that I think is often really difficult for people to accept. I think a lot of us, like, especially when I was coming up, it's like, oh, I was better than that guy. I should this, that, and the other. And then you look at things and you're like, okay, maybe I wasn't.
Yes. Yep. Well, and I think the other mentality you got to take into, because I also judge NPC shows here in the Midwest, is this is subjective, man. Like, there are criteria that you're taught as a judge. You're taught to look at silhouettes. You're taught to look at shape. You're taught to look at conditioning. You're taught to look at, whatever that specific class we're looking for. But, at the end of the day, it really is a subjective sport of what you like on that stage and comparing the best on that stage versus each other, right? Like I've heard that time and time again. Oh, this guy had a distended gut in comparison. Yeah, he did ish, but he also had a lot better shape than everybody else on stage, even with the distended gut. And he was in better condition and he had more muscle tissue. I don't know what to tell you, right? So it's the other aspect of bodybuilding that makes it a very hard sport is you are talking about something that's very subjective. So again, controlling what you can control, how you present your physique and how you bring your physique to that stage is what matters. And do you check the boxes of what they're looking for that category? If you do, and you get beat, it's simply because somebody else was better than you and fit the category better. That's it. There's no politic bullshit to it. There's nothing like that. Now, maybe at some shows, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
But 99% of the time, no, it was just a better bodybuilder than you. No matter how you look at it.
And I think another skill that's like not necessarily talked about often that I think is very important is learning to like detach or compartmentalize between you as an individual and you as a bodybuilder, right? Because the thing that does suck is like you are presenting yourself on stage, but when somebody, unless they're going about it in the wrong way, when somebody talks about your physique, they're not talking about you as an individual. Just because they say that you need more back doesn't mean you suck. Doesn't mean that they're trying to tear you down and they're against you and this, that, and the other. They're just pointing out what they see that needs to come up, right? So like you can let it hurt your feelings. That's fine. It's okay to feel those feelings. Let it piss you off. That's fine. That's what you need to go make your back fucking better. Like but the thing that you often see is like, again, it all comes down to the person who's delivering that opinion about like, hey, this is what you need to do. Like if they come to you and go, you suck at this and your back looks like shit. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to be pissed off if you give me that type of fucking feedback. Right. But if somebody's trying to literally give you constructive criticism in order for you to be better and you throw a hissy fit about it and hate that person and think that they're an asshole for giving you the truth, I think you need to go do underwater basket weaving or something because you are not going to make it. You need to develop a thick skin and learn to detach you as a human and you as a physical specimen getting on stage into two different things,
100%. I mean, that was after the amateur the head judge was backstage. He immediately kind of pulled us aside and told us our critiques. And his number one thing to me, he was like, listen, we need to improve your back a little bit more. And then outside of that, you need to control your waist more. You're not able to control your waist. Now, granted, and I haven't even really told anybody about this, but November, literally, well, about a year ago, November, I had diastasis recti repair and an umbilical hernia repair. So my gut was still technically like healing and I'm still getting that mind muscle connection to it. So like to hold it in is not an easy thing at all times, but the thing is I took his criticism. I go, okay. And from that day until Masters USA's, I did vacuums, I did ab work, I did everything possible to try to pull that in even harder, and make sure that I was presenting my physique based on the critiques that he gave me. And that's what you need to do. As soon as you get those critiques back, don't take it to heart. You know, you could be a little pissed off by it, but then take that and utilize that as a tool to actually bring your better version of yourself to the stage the next time. That's all it comes down to.
Yep, 100%. And you're definitely right. And the other thing, just as the kind of last point on that, is like, make sure you get more than one judge's opinion. You know, and that's something that Terrence actually said on our Classic Physique radio podcast that we do. And it's a great, I don't, it's not that I never thought about it, but I never like put that sentence in my head of like, yeah, go get multiple judges' opinion. Cause like we said, this is a subjective sport. Just because this guy is the head judge does not mean that every single person on that panel looks at your physique the same way. So maybe the head judge has all the compliments in the world for you and just, oh, you only got to change this little thing. But then this person over here is like, no, you look like shit. You need to change this, that, and the other. Like, well, who do you believe? Like, both.
Yeah.
Take both into consideration. Even if it's something that you're like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Even if it's something like maybe you're Nick Walker and you have the best arms ever, and this guy goes, hey, you got shit arms. Don't just immediately dismiss it. Maybe think through of like why. Because maybe it was a way you were presenting your arms, or maybe it was something about the peak or whatever. It's like, just because he's maybe delivering the information wrong doesn't mean that he's wrong, you know, like, so still take it in, because like most of the feedback that you get after a show is, oh, you were flat, or oh, you were spilled, or oh, you were this. That judge doesn't fucking know, right? Because the unfortunate thing is flat and spilled kind of look the same. You look like shit. That's all they know, is that you look like shit on stage. You know, like, we can surmise you're probably a little full, but you don't know at the end of the day. You just don't look good on stage. So is it that you needed more tissue, or is it that you just needed to be a better peak, or was it you weren't in shape? Like, that's what you have to now dig through. And that's why it's smart to go and talk to a number of different people. But Nick, dude, this has been a great conversation, man. I like to keep these to about an hour, so we're coming up on that now. But plug some stuff. Like, what do you got going on? Where can people find you? Where can they learn more about you?
Yeah, man. So as far as I go on Instagram, probably the one place I'm most live on, it's just BR_physiques. So you guys can follow me there. Outside of that, as far as the gyms go, Iron Heaven Gym in Omaha, Nebraska. And then I also do have Lift KC, which is in Kansas City, Missouri, and then Empire Strength, which is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then I also have my hands in, and actually I'll send some over to you, but I actually have a protein popcorn company that I own, along with a company and 2 retail shops that I own too. But I'll shoot some your way so you can give that a shot. It's hitting the ground running really fast right now. So
being out in Nebraska, I'm sure you know some of the Complete Nutrition guys.
Oh yeah.
So I was a manager at a Complete Nutrition when like way back in the day in college, and they were all out in Nebraska, and we had this I think maybe it was Icon Meals or something like that. They had like protein popcorn. That stuff was fucking phenomenal. So yes, I'll definitely try that. Yeah.
So I will tell you, and Todd Abrams, who owns Icon, is actually a good friend of mine.
Okay.
But our protein popcorn's a lot different than that one. So, but
that's great.
In a good way, right? Like, so, but I'll shoot some. You'll give it a shot, and you can give me your own testimony on that.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. Yeah, for sure. But so do you offer coaching, all that kind of stuff too, or do you do in-person training? What is it that you have available?
Yeah. So hybrid coaching. So I do online or in person. At this point in time, probably just like you, I've got a roster that's full. So I've got a team of coaches that work underneath me that I work with. But you know, always open to taking on consults and talking with people and figuring out if we're a good fit for you. So again, all of that information is on my Instagram, or even at brphysiques.com. So
awesome, man. Yeah, it's for anybody who is looking for a coach. I know Nick is good people, because I was introduced to him from Danny LaMartina. So anyone that Danny trusts, I trust. So if anybody needs a good coach, definitely make sure you reach out to Nick. But for anyone who is still watching at this point, make sure you do the YouTube thing, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, tell us who you want to see next time, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Appreciate you, Nick.
Yep. Thank you.